Hello, everyone. I'm Kerry Desberg with Impartner. I am CMO. I'm broadcasting live from our COVID broadcasting station for Impartner from foggy Seattle, Washington this morning. So glad that you could join on board. For those of you who don't know, Impartner, largest pure play PRM in the market and the most award-winning. We are lucky enough to work with some of the most award-winning, largest, fastest growing companies out there worldwide. And it's a pleasure of working with those companies and helping them channel. We also get to work alongside the most impressive channel. These are the folks who are setting the headlines and sitting alongside the top channel chiefs, driving strategy and curating the conversation with top channel events and really making the channel happen. And recently we formed a channel chief advisory board with the intent of really wanting to help companies as before, during, and after the sale of a PRM technology. Everyone is perpetually looking for what the best things are to do, what to drive their strategies, what technologies to choose, and really how to optimize not only those solutions but the channel moving forward. So it's my pleasure today to introduce, we call them the channel glitterati, Glenn Robertson. He is CEO of Purechannels. They are an award-winning agency that works throughout Europe and other parts of the world. Glenn himself, he is a CRNA lister and has been working alongside some of the top corporations in the world for a really long time. Today, we're here to talk about the inverse channel and talk about the rise of partner power. And in the market that we are all in today, I don't think it's short term. I don't think it's long term, some dystopian midterm, really making sure that we are absolutely optimizing our channel operations to not only survive, but thrive and prosper. Really means that we need to make sure that we are getting the most out of those partners. And when we can't go that last mile and we need their feet on the street to work more for us, more powerfully than ever before. So without any further ado, it is my pleasure to turn this over to Glenn to talk about the inverse channel and the rise of partner power. So Glenn, great to have you here, and take it away.
Thank you very much. That's very kind, Kerry. Welcome, everybody. Thank you awfully, Kerry and Impartner, for hosting this today, for welcoming me and my esteemed colleagues onto the Channel Chief Advisory Board this year. Really looking forward to a lot of the content that I think we're going to drive over the coming months and years. Delighted to be a part of it. So, as Kerry said, we're going to take a look today at what I'm terming the inverse channel and the rise of partner power. So that's it. So the essence of this presentation today, this is really it. This is the question. This is a consideration that I would like you to make in terms of a takeaway from this webinar this afternoon. If the results are so important to us, why do we not start with them? Why do we persist in starting with what we want to do rather than with what we want to achieve? So using that essence and using that as a starting point, what I'd really like to do is, by the end of this webinar, is hope that you all take away from this an understanding and hopefully an acceptance of an alternative and very relevant view of the channel. I'd like an understanding of the importance of partner experience and why you should be doing all that you can to optimize it. At the end, I'd like you to have an understanding of why and how this is relevant in terms of buying and consumer behavior. And ultimately, that just to let you know that this isn't a research piece or a study. This is my informed thinking, opinion, and take on the channel, and where I believe it's absolutely going, and why it's fundamental to consider this as a part of your indirect channel activity going forward. So why me? Who am I? What gives me the right to stand here today, sharing my thoughts and predictions with you? So yeah, as Kerry very kindly said, yes, I am CEO of Purechannels, the channel agency, a marketing agency here in the UK, dedicated to working exclusively in the channel now for 15 years. This is our 15-year anniversary, founded in 2005. I am a CCAB member, as you know. I'm a Forrester contributor, CRN lister, speaker, writer, presenter, etc. I sit on the Business Super Brands Council. Won quite a few awards across my time with all the usual suspects. I host a channel drop-in. I founded Newzoo, which is the channel news hub, and also I'm an NLP practitioner. Little something extra, I'm also an inventor of a sports product, which is called The Responsible, which is a dedicated football training ball specifically for goalkeepers. You can find out a bit more about that. Interestingly though, it still keeps my love of the channel alive, because I actually sell it worldwide via distribution into a number of different countries, and it is used with a whole host of some of the world's biggest clubs. But that's the background on me. What experience do I have? Well, actually, quite a bit over the last decade plus, should we say. I've been lucky enough to work with a number of the world's biggest brands, some of which hopefully you'll all recognize here on this screen: vendors, disties, and partners alike. Excuse me. So, by the way, it's very. My office happens to be in the loft, in the attic of my house, and in order to minimise disruption from noise, I've shut myself away. It's really quite hot up here this afternoon. So, what I'd like you all to consider as a basis for today is this: it's a presupposition of NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, and it's a consideration of the meaning and success of communication is in the response we get. And it makes total sense, because the best judge of our communication is the impact that it has on the recipient. The focus and the emphasis is on the recipient dictating success rather than the deliverer expecting or assuming it. So if we put that into our environment and flip this around, if we drive to create and provide the best possible customer experience, which we do because the whole world has been talking about it for years now, loads of research, obviously loads of writing, loads of data to prove it, then we have to know where the starting point is. And that has to be knowing what the desired end result will be. We go back to my first slide, which is about starting at the end. So then if we take that and put it into a channel perspective, then why don't we take a consideration of moving from CX to PX, from customer experience to partner experience. So as we are talking here specifically about the channel, it follows without question in my mind that we should be placing more importance on partner experience. All right, we blog on it, we've done some writing around it and talked quite a lot about it. And we've also created a model here, Purechannels. So then we consider that the ultimate partner experience should be the starting point, not just the end result. If you don't know what you are heading for, how do you know how you're going to get there? And with that, there's quite an interesting question that I ask quite a lot of my vendor clients. Slightly obvious, it's not a trick question and it's not a joke either, but a question for you: what is the best way of knowing what your partners want? And it's that simple. Yes, that's not misunderstanding the fact that data and analysis and research and study and all those other great things aren't important, but the place to start is to ask them what they want. Like we said before, starting with what you want to do is going to have the inverse almost result. And to describe that, here we've got just a really, really simple diagram. If you start with what you want to do, there's a far greater chance of there being a disconnect between where you start and where you finish. In my mind, and based on all the work that I've done and that we've done at Purechannels with our many clients over the years, this would be a far better way to look at it. If we start with the end result, which is the ultimate partner experience, then as we go along the pathway, it's far easier to work out what we need to do in order to deliver the ultimate end result. So if you start with what you want at the end, you are far more likely to deliver it. What's the evidence of that? Well, it's, as I said at the beginning, this is not a study, it's not a research, it's not a great big data project. This is based on 15 years plus, because we have to include lots of different people that have been included in those 15 years. Partner interaction, channel surveys, vendor programs, partner comms, partner recruitment, partner campaigns, partner marketing, partner sales, channel this, channel that, all of the things that you would expect to see in a sensible, good, successful channel activity, channel organization, indirect channel. This is what this is based on. We've done a number of surveys, both regional, local, and global, over those years with a number of the world's biggest vendors. And guess what? 3 things always come out on top. It doesn't matter if it's global, regional, or local. 3 things come out on top. Partners are looking for help with sales. They're looking to do that as easy as possible, and they're looking to generate leads, or for you to give them leads, okay? Partners exist for their reasons, not yours. And typically those reasons are about selling as much stuff as possible. They don't exist to do your marketing for you, and they don't exist to do your selling for you. So why not consider relating everything that you do back to the partner need and the partner want and the partner desire, making that end piece the beginning. Because knowing what partners want as an end result means we know much better where to start. By putting partner experience first, based on what we know they want, we are far more likely to get the desired results at the end. And it's based on all this data that we've got, and we've got it to hand because it's the surveys that we've actually carried out over these past number of years. So based on all of this data, we have developed a unique partner experience model. And it looks like this. This is what we call the model for achieving ultimate partner experience. It's called the 5 E's because it happens to consist of 5 words that all begin with E. And it's about engaging partners, educating partners, enabling partners, evaluating the process as you go round, and then evolving over time, responding to those needs and that understanding that you have. There's no necessary start and finish point because actually you can jump into this model at any point and it still be relevant. And at the same time, it's cyclical because, for example, it would be pointless educating or trying to educate partners if they weren't engaged. It'd be pointless trying to enable partners with all the best toolkits and all the best marketing and all the best support that you've got and training and education if you don't actually give them any education. So you can't give them the tools to do something if you haven't told them what it is you need them to do. And it's great to evaluate because that's what we're talking about, gaining feedback and getting partner surveys. But if you don't use that to then evolve what you're doing and change what you're doing based on partner need, not what you want to do, then again, it's pointless. So it's a cyclical process. It's never ending. And you can dive in and start and stop at any particular point. Now, I understand that this kind of goes against everything that we've ever known and everything that we've ever done. But it's the reality of the moment, okay? Things evolve, things move on, people change, businesses change, the channel changes, okay? We know this as a very typical and traditional model of the beloved channel that we get up every morning for. Vendor at the top, then the distie, then our partners, all different types of partner, okay? There's an argument to say that disties are partners as well, but on the typical linear hierarchy, we know that this is the one that exists as a tradition, and then customers at the bottom. My question to you is that I would ask you very politely to consider an alternative to that. And the alternative looks like this. With the emergence and explosion of customer experience, the customer more and more is being placed first, or using the linear hierarchy model, they're being placed at the top. And what follows isn't only a natural progression, but a logical conclusion that partners are taking their place further and further up the pecking order and placing more emphasis on choice. Choice of solution, choice of service, choice of support, choice of how they do business and who they do business with, not for, with. The budgets we know are still top heavy in the direct space, and vendors are still spending billions in end user demand generation, which means the partner is so much better placed to offer expertise, knowledge, insight, leadership, driving choice and helping customers with more informed decisions. We are being led more in B2B by consumer thinking. The lines are becoming increasingly blurred between home and work and personal and professional. It's out there. We're reading it all the time, and we do it because we can see it happening every day because we do our research. We look for reference. We demand the best deal, the best service, the best delivery. We want to make an informed decision, not be told what we want. And this is affecting the channel. And I believe it's driving this switch, this transformation, and this new model to consider. Genuine differentiation in terms of tech is becoming less and less. Choice and preference and insight and confidence and reference and a more emotionally driven decision-making process, along with price brackets, is affecting buying decisions more and more. So if we look at this, it's quite easy to see that the customer is dictating now quite a lot, almost in the majority of cases, right at the top. The partners are in, the disties are in, and then actually, based on what we've just learned and based on what I've just said, the vendors are kind of dotted along the bottom in terms of where's the choice being made. The choice is being made of the customer. The partner is then deciding based on their knowledge and the add value that they provide, which is the best vendor to go to in order to satisfy the need of the customer. Okay, the disties are doing the same with the partner in order to then satisfy the needs of the customer, and the vendors are the guys there supporting everything and propping it all up. Okay, they're driving demand to the end user. Okay, and they're also helping back up the channel a little bit. So maybe we can evolve this a bit by putting some additional arrows in. But this is what we're talking about. It's a consideration of an alternative that is driven by the customer need, but ultimately in our channel with the partners sat at the top because of the power that they now have based on their interaction with the customer and the choice that they now have over which vendor to go with. Yes, we can't ignore it. It's still very relevant. The vendor at the top model is still entirely relevant, but it can help feed actually and embrace the transformation. So it might be that we move to a more horizontal model. It might mean that we move to a more cyclical model. The understanding and the consideration from today is about understanding that this is no longer a vendor dictation environment. The channel is a model, we know that, not only in IT and telecoms, but in just about every industry that we know and interact with, in both our personal and work lives. The shift in behavior is happening, and it's happening now. It's been happening for a little while, and it's going to happen even more. So we have to embrace it, we have to support it, and I think we should be, and we should end up being rewarded by it. Vendors who recognize and respond to the needs of the partners and support them based on those needs, rather than deterring them, they will win. If we accept change or the possibility that change exists, then we will be better for it. The transition will take time and it might not be reached entirely. In fact, I believe that the likely climax will be reached at some kind of hybrid model, as I've just mentioned. The point is that partners are becoming more and more powerful. Okay, we're going to the end and we're understanding their need, and they know that. And based on those needs, that's driving their power because they understand the needs of the customer. And therefore, they're in a much better position these days to be making choices about which vendor to work with. They're not being dictated to by the vendors that want to work with them. Choice has never been as wide and as varied as it is now in product, in solution, in service. the ultimate choice is made by the end customer. We know that. And the easier you make it for your customers to make that choice through engaged, empowered, educated, and enabled partners, you will see that they come back to you and make the choice with you more and more. Okay. So, this isn't just me. It is about informed thinking and consideration over a number of years doing this time and time again, and how we evolve and how we respond to change. But of course, no webinar in the channel will be complete without a quote from a recognized analyst. So of course, here are a couple to back up everything that I've just said. Forrester this year, in fact, said that in order to succeed, we need to consider this. They also said that channel leaders who recognize and measure channel from business need to vendor selection to transaction and then through to renewal are better equipped to match CX with PX. And actually, almost 2 years ago, Canales said that any information system upgrades for improved partner experience should deliver accurate information, address the right issues, and demonstrate an understanding of partner experience. So actually, if we relate this back to today's webinar, partner experience should be what you start with, not with what you end up with. And on that note, if we may, just go back to where we started with the end, I would ask you to consider if we've done what we set out to do. So hopefully you now have an understanding and an acceptance of an alternative and very relevant view of the channel, the importance of partner experience and why you should be doing all you can to optimize it, why and how this is relevant in terms of buying and consumer behavior, and the fact that, thank you very much, you've just sat there or stood there and listened to me talk about my informed thinking or where I believe things are going based on all of the information at hand to myself. This isn't a research piece or a study. So thank you very much. For further ramblings, or if you would care to start a conversation, contact details are all over the place. And I thank you ever so much indeed for listening. Thank you. And Kerry, it's back to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Glenn. Such great insights and really so perfect for what is happening in the marketplace today. What a crazy period in history, and how important is it now more than ever before for companies to really get the partners that they want. You said that today people will win when they have the most engaged, empowered, and enabled partners, and that partners are deciding which vendor they want to work with. And for us, that's really at the heart, the core of what it is that we do as a PRM technology provider. 86% of partners say that the front door of the experience, that the first digital handshake they have typically is with your partner portal. And when you have a threadbare, dog-haired covered front door mat of a partner portal that has a terrible experience, it's not contemporary, has difficult sign-on processes, you're not going to win. You're not going to get the best partners. You really need to have a contemporary solution that absolutely tells your partners that when they work with you, you are going to have a world-class experience. We work with so many leading corporations. We work with a ton of security companies. And if you think about somebody out there who's, say, a firewall vendor, we work with a lot of them. We work with Fortinet and SonicWall. If you're in a big conversation of speeds and feeds, the partner experience really becomes your differentiator. It becomes the product. And if you're hard to do business with, if you have a dated solution that doesn't allow them to get the training they want and get the enablement materials that they need to go sell, you're not going to win. They're going to go to somebody else. And if somebody is accepting your terrible partner experience, your terrible digital experience, are those really the partners that you want anyway? We ask our customers around the world in a study that the results are anonymized, how much difference does it make when you have a contemporary solution like ours? How much can it help you change the performance of your channel? So this blind study says they see a 32% increase in revenue, a 29% decrease in administrative costs. So tell me, anyone, as budgets are slashed and resources are slashed, you really need to have those automation tools so you can continue to drive performance to your channel. And Glenn talked a lot about the competitive advantage. 78% of our customers say that it gives them a strategic competitive advantage over their competitors. So if you've been hesitant to drive that digital transformation in your channel, a lot of folks are saying, oh, geez, now is the time to do it. Now is the time to do it. There is a way to get through the eye of the needle and make sure that you can do all those things that Glenn is talking about and really meet the demands of your partners. And lastly, we're all looking at ROI. So 77% of our customers report an ROI payback in less than 18 months. So again, when you're thinking about how do I deliver to my partners what they need to really truly be successful, if you could go to the next slide, as you're looking for information from Glenn, or you're looking for information for us and how you can help meet those needs, Impartner does provide a full set of solutions that help you meet the needs of both your traditional partners, gold, silver, platinum, however you're dividing them, and also for those referral partners, which are now the fastest growing group of partners anywhere. So with that, hey, Glenn, thank you again. Let's open it up for questions. I think I see a few there. Brandon, where would you take them? Let's take a few questions. Where would you take us?
Yeah, the first question that came in through the presentation was, how do you handle those partners that have over-demanding needs?
Oh, Glenn, I'll let you take that one.
Okay, good one. Okay, so thank you for sending in the question, and I'll, wherever it came from, I'll send it back and I'll say, defined demanding needs. Wouldn't all partners have a set of demanding needs? And I guess in order to define those, we need to understand what they are. Okay, which is about going to the end and finding out exactly what it is that your partner needs, and then being able to supply it, because it's probably, I'm going out on a limb, I'm taking a guess, it's probably the definition of demanding needs, and it's probably, the problem might not be with the partner, it might be with the fact that A, you're not giving them enough support, you're not providing them with enough stuff, you're not giving them the attention that they need, or their experience is really, really low. So if any of those things are improved, the demands that come from the partner will probably be minimized or reduced at least. And if we're talking about other things, I don't know exactly the context of the question, but defining a partner who is particularly demanding, I would say go to the end. Understand the core of the issue and what might determine or define how you're suggesting that they might be demanding, and work out what the issue is. But as I say, the biggest thing there is probably talk to them and understand exactly what it is they're finding or having difficulty with.
Great. Next question is, what percentage of partner programs are already using this inverse strategy?
Oh, okay. So did anybody see the slide that said this is not a study or a research piece or anything that's defined by, files and bucket loads of data? So what percentage? So I would say that actually, to answer that question, I would talk a little bit around theory versus reality. Okay. So of course we've seen just this year, particularly since COVID hit, a huge number of vendors have been reworking, refreshing, reviewing their whole partner program in order to provide an alternative partner experience in response to the pandemic situation that we're in. Okay, which of course is great. There is a reality check that needs to be made though, and that's around, as I say, this theory versus reality. So theory is, we're partner first, we're partner led, we're channel first, we're 100% channel organization, etc., etc., etc. The reality is that a lot of vendors might not be matching their theory with what they're doing in practice in reality, and they're probably some way behind and catching up where they want to be. But the good news is, hopefully they've identified where they want to be at the end, and therefore they're making strides and working their way towards it. So I don't have a percentage figure for you, Brandon, I'm sorry.
Great, thanks. The next question that came in is, can you talk about the partner experience differentiation, pros and cons between offering an on-demand partner portal and a dedicated channel manager?
Yes. Would you like me to do that now?
Yeah, Glenn, if you want to do that, and then I have something to add as well. That's a really good question.
Yeah, that is a good question. That is a good question. Okay. So Brandon, just repeat the essence of the question for me again, please.
Yeah. Can you talk about the partner experience differentiation, pros and cons between offering an on-demand partner portal and a dedicated channel manager?
Yeah, for sure. So, so two things really. In fact, one thing, the priority, the main thing has to be outcome. It has to be partner experience in terms of what are you looking to achieve, because some things will be best achieved with human interaction and a dedicated partner account manager, and some things will be best achieved with the likes of an automated service. Okay, so for example, deal reg automation, MDF would be a great thing to automate if you get it right. Okay, surveying, regular contact, understanding the genuine day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month needs of a partner, absolutely human interaction. Okay, so a good friend and super colleague in B2B, a gentleman called Purechannels, has spent decades on his quest to humanize B2B, and now more than ever, that is essentially so true. The emotional connection that you get from any transaction has to be optimized, okay? And so my belief is that there still absolutely should be human interaction, because you can't understand emotion necessarily with automation. Behind every automated activity, there has to have been some element of human interaction, okay? So the answer to the question, Brandon, is very much around, you absolutely have to understand what the ultimate end result is in order to define whether it's better to have a human person do it or something that's automated.
You know, you're absolutely right, Glenn. And then I would add to that, here's the twist, is that automating helps you humanize to everything you said. To quote some more analyst data, Glenn, you know, I wouldn't want you to be the only one doing that. For these two next stats are Forrester. For every $1 invested in PRM, it delivers $10 as savings in manual labor costs. And beyond about 50 partners, you'll really have trouble scaling. And that's because you're really automating the operational basics that are those scalable, repeatable things where human touch really doesn't add any value. They're just repeatable tasks. But if you don't do that, your team, your CAMs, no matter how many you have, will end up doing an administrative, non-value added task and won't have time for the truly strategic conversations that actually drive your channel. There are customers in that same study I was mentioning earlier say that it gives them a 29% reduction in the amount of time that they spend on their administrative tasks. So as you're thinking about not only surviving this crazy situation that we're all in, but also thriving and scaling and prospering, there is a mix there of automating to be able to humanize. You got to automate the operational basics so you don't spend time on administrative stuff, so you really have time for the truly strategic, important conversations that are really going to help everybody move forward. So I think, Glenn, we are at time. If there are any other questions that we are out of time to run through, we will come back to you individually. I would thank you all for joining on today in this important conversation. Glenn, thank you so much for your keen insights today, for being a part of the Channel Chief Advisory Board. We appreciate your voice in the marketplace. It's very insightful, and sending all good thoughts to you to be safe and drive successfully of your channel. Thanks for joining on today, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.